Dungeons and Dragons.
Hit you with another one of them old phenomenal shits.
Alright, welcome back to Undrlvld. I'm Chris. You'll notice that my friends Dom and Paul are not with me today. They had some prior obligations, but as you know, I'm the resident D&D guy of the group. So when I heard that D&D Celebration was going on this weekend, well, I was already gonna watch it. Figured, maybe after some of the important panels, I'll make a video to give my impressions on it. I've never really sat through this before, so it's a new experience both in content creation and in viewing. So we'll see how that goes. On actually the first day of this was on Friday. I did not really watch much. I watched a little of the Adventure League until I realized that Adventure League wasn't for me. And I watched a little bit of the Feywild, but the book's already out, so not really much that they could reveal. So day one didn't really have anything interesting. Day two, however, did have the my first character, bringing young players into D&D. Now, as someone who wants to try DMing, running his own Dungeons and Dragons game, I thought it'd be interesting to watch that and kind of get some tips on maybe how to introduce some people into it, because Paul and Dom have never played a game like this before. I'm actually not going to be talking about that panel in this video, because I think that would actually be a really good conversation to have with my two friends. So we're actually going to backtrack to that conversation in a future video. But what I did check out was Strixhaven in session and Fizban Treasury of Dragons revealed. As we know, Fizban's Treasury of Dragon, that book comes out next month, and Strixhaven, a Curriculum of Chaos, I believe is what it's called, comes out in November. So I took some notes, and people who are probably way more qualified at taking notes than me, the people of Reddit, also jotted down some points. So I'm gonna go through it. I'm not gonna, take up everyone's day doing this. Try to make it a somewhat reasonably lengthy video. But so I'm gonna kind of go through this a little bit, and then when it actually matters, I'll give my own little inputs on it. As some people know, Strixhaven is actually a magic school that I believe is set in like the Magic the Gathering universe. So this isn't the first time they've done something like this. I believe there's like, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica or something like that. They have other, and Mythic a Theros book or something. They have other books where they cross over with Magic the Gathering. But this one, as someone who loves Harry Potter, I found interesting because Strixhaven is a magic school. I was both impressed by the panel and surprised, but at the same time a little disappointed. And I think the first point kind of it explains a little bit why I was disappointed. So there's 5 colleges at this school, and the book's going to provide only 5 new spells, one for each school. Although I think it's cool that the spells are going to be themed after the colleges that they represent. I mean, it's a book on a magic school. I was really hoping that they would have more spells. Um, there's going to be the spell book was actually really cool. So they're going to have a spell book for each college. Again, it's going to be thematic to whatever college it's for. But it also aids you a little bit more. You gain, like it says right here, temporary gain in proficiency and a skill. They didn't. I don't think they really described fully what it's going to be able to do, and plus you'll be able to homebrew in your own type of stuff. So I'll be curious to see how people handle um an item like that. Um, in addition to that, see, it says in here a 3-year adventure, but I believe it's 4 years. I think it's like 4 adventures, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check my notes. Power of editing will cut this part out. I believe it's 4 years, but then again, who knows? Yeah, the extracurricular activities were actually pretty cool. You can get like a job, you can join a club. There's like sports that you can join at the college, and each of them provide like some benefits. Um, me- so one of the benefits is I believe that it'll provide you there's the student, well, obviously making money at like your job. You also get a student die, which you could say is kind of like an inspiration die from a bard, where you can use it as like a bonus for a skill check. So it's like a more limited inspiration dice, which I think is pretty interesting. I haven't really ran into a DM that awards inspiration dice because I know that's an optional rule. So I'd be curious to see in terms of like balance how it'll affect games where DMs actually do give out inspiration. And then plus, let's say hey, you have a bard that gives out more inspiration, and now you have the student die. But I think it's fun. It makes sense. Since they're going for more of like a social aspect in, at least it seems like in this book. Which leads on to the NPCs. They have a bunch of NPCs. Um, and you can form like they have like points that are associated with them. So based on how you interact with them, they'll either gain or lose points. Losing points obviously bad. They'll might turn into like an enemy or a rival or whatever. But the more points they accumulate, they could actually end up becoming like a love interest or like a best friend or almost like family or something like that. I think that's like an overall theme in this book is like social interaction. I mean, this has a lot to do like with they want to provide like a realistic like college experience, but like in D&D rather than just being, going around and, killing a bunch of monsters and whatnot. Which I did kind of notice was like an overall theme. A little side rant for a second. Kind of noticed it was an overall theme with how they were promoting like the Strixhaven book and the Feywild book that they released. It's like they really make it seem like their previous adventures and like the common campaign that you join in is literally just like hobo killing, which I kind of disagree with. I've been in a lot of campaigns where, we've easily solved problems without, resorting to killing and, the sneaky rogue like stuff. Like, it varies, but I mean, obviously there are those campaigns where it seems like you're pretty much just going around killing a bunch of stuff over and over. But I don't know. I kind of felt like they were kind of not giving credit to like the community DMs. But that's again a little side tangent. But yeah, the NPCs are really cool. Like when you get a job, it actually links you with certain NPCs, and there are various other ways throughout the book that you can meet these NPCs and start to form relationships with them. So I thought that was really cool. Because sometimes, for whatever reason, I've noticed that some players are a little shy, like a little nervous to like form those like camaraderie bonds with other players, and sometimes they feel a little more comfortable interacting and RPing with the DM. So giving the DM the tools to have these NPCs that have a lot more depth and impact, not just on the characters, but in the story, because they said that they're the NPCs that you form relationships with are very important to like the adventures that are in the book. So I think that's really cool. This is giving a lot of tools. Like they described like this book and the next book we're gonna talk about, the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. They described them a lot as like toy boxes. I've noticed. It's like a lot of useful things in these books that you can just pick apart and apply to your campaign as you see appropriate. And like it says here, Mr. Crawford did say that like the end game adventure had a lot of high stakes. He really emphasized that you can not only fail at the adventure, but it'll have consequences. Like they have detailed in the book what would happen, I would guess, to the world as a whole, to the school, to your the relationships you have to the companions. So like they yeah, I think that's really cool. I'm be really interested to get that book and see exactly how they go about doing it. Um it's designed to be modular. Like you can have it be a one shot, you can have it be like a mini adventure, you can implement it into your campaign. There's various ways that you can use this, hence, why they call it Toy Box. They got a picture here. Yeah, I guess this guy is like I don't know if he's like the big bad. I would hope not. But he's an antagonist, like I think through your school years, and he looks pretty cool. And along with him, they said that there's like magic hunters and like um rivals to the school and whatnot. There's like a lot of things working against you, which they did make it a point during the stream to be like, it's not all sunshines and rainbows in this adventure. Like there are threats and there are things that can not only be potentially deadly to you, but to the NPCs that you're forming bonds with. So I think that's pretty cool that you can get these NPCs and you can even like romance some of them, and there's always that potential threat that something can happen to them. It adds like a layer of, drama to the adventure. I think it's pretty cool. Um Again, I am pretty disappointed that it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting a lot of spells. I figured if there was ever a time to really dive into like a bunch of useful magic items for spellcasters, um, and spells, I would have figured it would have been this book, especially since there are feats. We did find out what some of the feats were. There's the Strixhaven Initiate. What's interesting about this feat is that it's based off, the college that you're a part of, and it gives you magic. And anybody can get it because this school, this setting, it doesn't restrict you to having to play a spell casting class. So you could be a barbarian, and I guess with this feat, you can have access to magic. They have the Strixhaven mascot. Kind of, you get a familiar that resembles the mascot of your school. I mean, it's cool. It's got some function. You can do some stuff. Um, Cuddly Strixhaven mascot. So this is a item gives you advantage on some stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Um, I'm not sure about the feats trees. I didn't really see. They didn't really dive in too much onto the extent of the feats. Um, it sounds to me like it's probably going to be like a linear kind of thing with the feats that they have, because they did replace the classes that they had in the Unearthed Arcana with these feats, but they didn't really go into really in depth on how like impactful or important that they'll be. So yeah, you can see here. These are the clubs that you can join. They'll give you some skills. So even though it kind of seems like some of this stuff's a little silly, like live action role playing guild, you're playing a game like Dungeons and Dragons, and your character's in essentially a D&D kind of guild. I know it seems kind of silly, but it impacts your character. You get some proficiencies through that, and I think this is like on top of like other stuff that you get. These are the jobs I was telling you about. The coworkers are the NPCs that I was telling you about, where you can form relationships and stuff with them. Owlin's the new race. Um, More bird people. It's cool. Um, they had it in the same Unearthed Arcana that they had the Feywild races that you can play. So I think they called it like Elfolk or something like that. But anyway, it's in this book. I think it's cool. More races, more choices. Anything that gives people more options to play whatever they want to play, I think is a good thing. So, but I gotta be honest, he looks like he'd be like a Chad at the school. I'm gonna be curious to see how people play characters like that. And this goes into the characters a little bit more. Um, it tells you like whether or not they have a job, the extracurriculars that they do, the bond boon. I would assume is like once you reach a certain level in your relationship with them, um, they can provide you some benefits. I don't like this one seems a little more mechanical. We try to reach a destination, you um, get there a lot faster. Whereas this one, easily command an entire room's attention. They hear your words favorably if you wish. That seems like maybe more like RP. Maybe it provides you like advantage on a persuasion check if you're giving some like inspirational speech or something. And then, Boon, Bond, Bane. I would assume, if your reputation, so to speak, with this NPC gets low enough, it has negative effects. I think it's pretty cool. I like that they give you art. It adds that extra layer to a point where like even if you don't even use this setting or use this book, you can take like this style of um NPC, especially with like the points, the relationship point. Then you can take all that and put it into your own campaign. Like there's a lot of things that you could do. So if anything, this could be a really good template for DMs to play with. They have the maps of like the different campuses. This is Witherbloom, which is one of the colleges at the school. Um, yeah, and that's it with that. So there was a lot of cool stuff. Let me just with the power of editing, I'm gonna check my notes really quick, see if there's anything important that I missed. Ooh, okay. So one thing that I missed. So they did emphasize that there's going to be like exams and homework, stuff like that in the game. So your character is obviously you're at a school and they have like the information on like all the professors and stuff like that. So you do have to go, do your homework, take exams and stuff like that. There are consequences for failing your exams. Like if you fail an exam or something, they could be like, okay, well you can't be in a club. And I would assume if you get kicked out of your club, you would lose, like in this case, the skills that are associated with the extracurricular activity, or they get rid of your job. Where it seems, where that's the jobs they pay you, like that's a source of income in your game. So there are negative things that'll happen to you if you fail this. I think that's really really cool. I mean, obviously, if anyone's going to be doing Strixhaven stuff, Like, they're gonna be down for the school part of it. They're gonna be down for the studying. So that's really cool that they have a mechanic for that. So I hope that that means that there are templates and rules or something in place in the book that will inform a DM on how to educate players when it comes to like magic. That there are different classes with descriptions on how to run those classes. Like, I don't want this just to be a setting with the school aspect of it being in the background, being like almost like an afterthought. Like, if I join a Strixhaven campaign, like, I want to go to class. I want to interact with teachers. I want to have like projects or something like that. Like, I want my DM to RP a session of class, you know? Like, I'm gonna want those things. Might not be up everyone's alley, but you know, not every book that they come out with is gonna be useful to everyone. Um, but I hope that the school part of it's not an afterthought. So I'm very curious to see, because they didn't really talk about the education part of the college. So I'm curious to see on how they handle that. Power of editing. One last thing is that you can get, you know, stuff like extra credit, and it made it seem also like you could kind of like maybe like sabotage other students, like have that like rival relationship with people, which I think is really cool. Like, I'm really curious to see what they do, because I know a lot of players don't feel comfortable doing stuff unless Wizard says that you can do it. So I'm curious to see how deep they go into the school aspect of this. I close that. So a little while. One thing that people need to know about me: I'm still somewhat new to Dungeons and Dragons, so I still have a lot to learn. And you know, hopefully, if anyone watches this and like, you know, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that, or you just want to educate me, or just say that I'm dumb, feel free to do so. I am always willing to learn. This is like my favorite game, so open mind on everything. But I love dragons. My first character in my first full on campaign was a dragonborn. So dragonborns hold a special place in my heart, and dragons are my favorite monsters. So I always felt that the dragonborn was a little underwhelming. At least when I first played it, I felt that way. But they kind of revamped it. They have metallic dragonborn, chromatic dragonborn, and gem dragonborn. Gem dragons being more neutral, metallic being, I believe, good, and chromatic being the evil dragons. Or I'm mixing that up, but sounds right in my head. But they updated it. They released this, I believe, yesterday, which was the 24th, I believe. Um, didn't really seem like they changed much on this, which I'm kind of happy about, because I was happy when they released this in the UA. The breath weapon is significantly better than it was for the regular Dragonborn. You can still use it up to your proficiency bonus, and it can take the place of an attack. So let's say you're a paladin, you can attack twice. You hit someone with your weapon, and then your extra attack could be a breath weapon. So I think that that's really cool. You gain resistance to the element associated with your dragon type. Also very cool. And the metallic one comes with the extra breath weapon. I'm not going to go through like every single little thing, but it's better. Like, it has a lot more utility. And it also plays well with the feats that they have um for these classes. Yeah, so they haven't released the final version of the feats. I know from people that I've spoken to, they felt that the feats were a little overpowered. Like the gift of the metallic dragon gave you access to the cure wound spell. You can cast it without expending a spell slot once, or you can use it with a spell slot. And you had like a reaction that you could take to that a defensive reaction that you could take. So had a lot of utility, but some people kind of felt like it might be a little too powerful. But I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, there's the original Dragonborn that came out in the player's handbook. There's the Dragonborn that came out in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, and now there's these Dragonborn. Like there's multiple versions. The DM has control on what he or she will not allow in their campaign. They can make tweaks as they see fit. The DM has ultimate control of everything. So even if they release something that's a little overpowered, it's not like it's the end of the world. They also did release the final version of the Drake Warden, which I think is really cool because um, I'm playing a Drake Warden in a campaign. So I'm gonna have to update it a little bit. One thing that I really like is the Drake companion that you get no longer goes away after a few hours. I don't even remember um, what the official rule is because like the moment my DM read it, he was like, "No, you summon it and it goes away once it dies, or use the spell to bring out another one. Hey, just don't worry about it going away." Like immediately he got rid of that. But other than that, it pretty much the same. One thing that I did find interesting is at level 7, you can use it as a mount. Even if you're a medium-sized creature, you can use it as a mount because I believe the mount usually has to be like one size above. But in this case, the Drake can't fly if you are a medium-sized creature and you use it as a mount because at this point the Drake's a medium-sized creature as well, but it has a 40-foot movement speed, so you get around a lot faster. So I thought that was pretty cool. And plus, if you're a small creature, if you're like a gnome or whatever, you get a flying mount at level 7, which is really, really, really cool. I like. I mean, I'm not playing a gnome or anything in my campaign where I'm a Drake Warden, so I gotta wait until what is it like level 15 to have a flying mount. But unless I'm mistaken, if you're a small creature at level 7, you get a flying mount. So good luck with that one, DMs. Like I know I can only imagine how much of a pain in the butt that would be to balance combat wise. Um, but I think that's pretty cool. They also released some of the information on the Moonstone Dragon, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, another dragon to fight gives you information on the layer actions, which I've still yet to actually experience. I don't think I've been. Have I? I don't think I've been in a campaign where DM actually used layer actions. Maybe like once? I don't know. I can't think. That's how few times it's happened. So, but it's here. Hopefully, hopefully people have fun. Have fun with that. What is it? Dragon targets a creature it can see within 120 feet of it and attempts to send that creature to a dream plane. The target must succeed a DC 15 Charisma saving throw or be banished to a harmless demiplane until initiative count 20 on the next round. While there, the target is stunned. When this effect ends, the target reappears. That's pretty cool. It's like a just a banishment with some cool extras. That's cool. I like it. It looks really cool. It has to be really fun to fight. I don't see. I don't see a breath weapon anywhere though. Maybe it doesn't have one. Maybe the dance is like the replacement for it. I don't know. Doesn't seem to have a breath weapon though, which I think is kind of weird. But let me consult the notes. All right, so here's the thing with the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons panel. Unless I'm mistaken, unless I completely brain farted during that panel, it didn't really seem like they told us anything that we didn't already know. So, I mean, chances are nobody's going to see this video, but I would assume if anyone actually found this video and was like, "Oh man, Fizban's," like if you're watching this, you probably know everything that there is to know so far about um this book. I don't like even when they explain like get two subclasses, we knew that. We got it from the UA. There's a few spells, we knew that from the UA. The feats, we knew that from the UA. The magic items and the horde items, which are specifically items that are associated with the dragon's horde, we already knew about that. The whole thing about the multiverse via the echoes of the dragons, like if a dragon exists in one world, there's an echo of that dragon in another world, and they can like fuse together, provide benefits to one another, and communicate with each other if they know the other one exists. Like all that stuff we already knew, and even kind of the origin story. I just want to make sure I don't get it wrong, of Tiamat and Bahamut being the ones to create the first world. Like we knew all of that. I think the one new thing, at least to me, was that that one world eventually broke apart to be all the other worlds. I probably missed that somewhere, but like we pretty much knew. Yeah, we pretty much knew everything going in. I mean, there's the Horde Scarab. I think that was a little bit new too. It's like a monster that looks like a gold coin that hides in uh the dragon's you know hoard of loot. But I think that was new. But yeah, we didn't really learn many new things. Like I'm looking through my notes right now. I mean, the regional effects we already knew. I mean, we see it right here. Um, I guess the horde, their treasure hoard, it can have like curses associated with them. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, there's always cursed items. We're not, being cursed by something and isn't exactly new. But what I think this book um, is it's basically, I think, like they said that I think someone said that the lore before 5th edition isn't like lore. Like the only real lore is what's presented in 5th edition. That's like official canon or whatever. So I feel like this book is just taking bits and pieces from previous editions and putting it together in the way that they want, and just to provide people with canon. But yeah, I mean there wasn't really anything new. Um there's a heavy emphasis on multiverse, but I mean we already knew that. Like I think that if I use any of this stuff, yeah, it's going to be like a multiversal type threat that the team's going to have to go after. Um but I mean that's cuz I would use everything in this book. But like I said, they didn't really I'm trying to look like there's nothing really new. Everything seems like stuff that we already knew coming into this. Um, but it's still gonna be great. You're gonna get a bestiary with a lot of different types of dragons, some that you know, some that you didn't know. You're gonna have your dragon adjacent creatures in there. It's going to be good. They even said that they're bringing forward dragons that they've already used and kind of modernizing them and updating them a little bit. One thing they didn't mention, if I recall, was if a dragon fuses with all of his echoes. I believe they're supposed to turn into like a great worm or something like that. Editing. But yeah, great worm. That's just, dragon fuses with all of its echoes and it turns into like, it's like right here. It's like turns into a giant great worm that has all these awesome abilities and stuff. They didn't really dive into that as much. They re-emphasize types of dragons. Like you're gonna have like the aspect of Bahamut and Tiamat in the book, which I believe they said Fizban is the avatar of Bahamut. So they're gonna have stuff like that in the book. You got the Elder Brain Dragon, which I'm really looking forward to fighting one day. But yeah, like I don't know. I was a little disappointed. They pretty much re-emphasized everything that we already knew going into it. But hey, they all can't be winners, right? But that was it for today. Like they didn't really have much. Like I said, I'm gonna go over the new character and the young people stuff. I'm gonna do that in a separate video with my buddies. Um, they didn't really have anything interesting yesterday. Tomorrow. The only thing at least of interest to me, I would do a video or a stream on the Sage advice stuff, but I'm still learning the game myself. I feel like I would not do a good job commentating on that. So yeah, I'll do a video after the future of D&D panel. I know there was that leak on Amazon where it was like $170 book. And I think it was Ted from Nerd Immersion who said that might be like a collection of books or something like that. I'd be kind of disappointed. I just want new stuff, like I get that, form a bundle, for like the new people and stuff like that, but I hope they announce a lot of really cool books that are coming out next year. I want more stuff to be excited for because I'm excited for Fizbans, but this panel didn't do much to elevate that. I'm a lot more excited for Strixhaven now than I was before. Like Strixhaven was a book where I was like, I'll get it and I'll review it for, Undrlvld and whatnot. I didn't really think much of it, but I'm actually really pumped for that. Fizban is dragons. I'm excited. That's cool, but the panel didn't do much to elevate that. But yeah, this is the first time I've done a video like this. As you can tell, I'm horrible at taking notes and probably even worse at portraying that information to you guys. So I will do better next time. Feel free to write in the comments, give me some tips, give me some advice. Like, was it good having the browser up in the background, or should I screenshot the stuff and give it more like a slideshow? Let me know what you guys want to see, what I could do better, so that way I can do better. Don't forget to click that like button, subscribe to the channel. That'd be really cool. And don't forget, we also have a website where you can go out and check out some of the stuff that we have. Holidays right around the corner. You could buy some nifty stuff over there. But yeah, just God, give me some advice. Give me some tips. I'm still new to all of this. Definitely gonna have a script next time. I kind of went from like the panel to getting a headache to just doing this video. And like immediately after I hit record, I was like, man, you know what? I probably should have gone through all my notes and all the extra stuff that I had and like made like a script. That probably would have been a good idea. But hey, we're learning. This is a process. You are all here for the ride. So thank you and see you next time.